A lot of sports writers have this strong left-wing point of view and want to turn everything into a racial issue. What they are building for young people, I can't sit by and just let it happen without raising my voice. They're using the emotion and the narrative of anti-black oppression to tear down this country. This country is the greatest country in the history of the planet.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Charlie, and Turning Point USA for inviting me. I don't have a lot of time, so I want to get right to my message. I spent much of the last year trying to get people's mind right, particularly men's mind right, so that we can engage in this spiritual battle that we have going on globally, but obviously, most obviously here in America. And so my message throughout 2023 was that bearing witness requires courage, not perfection. And that message was sounded because the left and the secular use our imperfection to silence us. Well, Jason, how dare you stand on truth and stand for those things? Didn't you used to do X, Y, and Z? Didn't you commit these sins? And so my message to men was, bear witness, don't let them use your sin to silence you, and embrace your identity in Christ. And that will clean you up. And so I started embracing my identity in Christ, and then it became much more difficult, and this is 7, 8 years ago, I started wearing my faith publicly. And so once I branded myself a Christian, I looked really stupid inside of a strip club. Oh, you're a Christian. There were a number of things that I used to do that looked really stupid once I started wearing my identity in Christ, and it allowed me to stand on truth and speak on things. And so I'm not encouraging anyone to embrace their sin, but don't let your sin silence your walk with Jesus Christ. You need Jesus because of your sin. And I say all that to say that in 2024, I'm changing up the message. And I'm going to spend all of 24 trying to encourage men in particular to come out of the mindset of apology. We have to quit apologizing for sins we did not commit. We have to quit apologizing for America's history. And so we're selling T-shirts here from the Blaze. Stop apologizing on the front, and on the back it says America's history inspires gratitude, not shame. And so I want to walk you through how they're using shame to further silence us, to make us unwilling to stand on truth. And there's a lot of examples of this, but two of the most powerful things going on that is silencing men and making us get into this apologetic mindset. And once you're in a mindset of apology, when it comes time to take a bold stance for what's right, you're in the wrong mindset. You're thinking, oh, I can't say anything because this group had terrible things happen in their past, and so in order to correct these terrible things that happen in their past, we have to allow terrible things to happen to us right now. And there's two groups using this very effectively, hand in hand, working together to change America. The feminist movement and the Black Lives Matter movement. They are shaming, they are recreating America's history and promoting a narrative that is completely inaccurate. All of us that were blessed to be born here or have been granted citizenship here owe an incredible debt of gratitude to our ancestors, to our founding fathers, to our founding principles. I want to walk you through it logically so that when you get challenged on this, you will have a response. And so I'm going to first start with the feminists who their narrative on America is, oh my God, America is so sexist. And if it weren't for these sexist traditions, if women weren't oppressed in the 16, 17, 1800s, oh my God, the head coach of the New England Patriots would probably be a woman if we were allowed to live free in the 16, 17, 1800s. And so their narrative that they're promoting is that our customs and cultures and traditions in the workforce were a byproduct of sexism, not necessity. That is a lie. Our culture in the 16, 17, 1800s, the way women were treated and the roles that were in place for women were a byproduct of necessity and common sense. It was reflective of a culture that was trying to live up to biblical values and biblical principles. But more than that, we didn't have DoorDash in the 1700s. Men had to go out and hunt and kill and fend off wild animals and fend off attackers. And so, and it took, we didn't have vacuum cleaners. We didn't have Clorox wet wipes. It took a lot of effort to maintain a home in the 16, 17, and 1800s. Women, in their proper mindset, in my view, were so respectful and so honored by the responsibility God gave them of nurturing and developing and grooming children in the womb, because that is when life begins, that women weren't sitting around saying, oh my God, if I was an advertising executive, how much happier I would be. They weren't upset that they weren't the primary financial providers in their home. They had the greatest responsibility that God has given: life. They were responsible for replenishing the earth and nurturing life in the womb, which is the most critical part of the development of children, what transpires in the womb. And so they have recreated this history that, oh God, it was all just sexism, and we didn't have the right to vote until Susan B. Anthony and the women's suffrage movement. And I will defend life before suffrage, because a vote used to represent the family. When we were a culture that really valued family and really understood the natural order that God intended, man serving God, woman following man who serves God, man and woman developing and nurturing children, you only needed one vote per household, because that vote was about the entire family, as they have destroyed our family structure and made this all an individual pursuit. Now everybody has to have a vote, and everybody has an agenda that a lot of times has nothing to do with family. The risks and the sacrifices that men made for the advancement of this country and for the benefit of all of us I can't say these weren't things that women were uninterested in, but they were certainly fine with men being roughnecks and going up on skyscrapers to build hotels and high-rises and fall to their death or injury. Because that was the role that men played, and we knew that was our responsibility. The life expectancy for a woman is 7 to 9 years longer than a man in America. That's a reflection of our sacrifice as men. We have not cut. Now, I'm not saying everything was perfect, because it was not perfect. But we have not cut women a bad deal in this country. We are imperfect. Our country has been imperfect. But those of us that are believers and were believers, and the people that put together those founding documents and established this country, made incredible sacrifices that we all benefit from, and we should all have an incredible amount of gratitude towards. That is the true narrative as it relates to men and women in America. I want to go a cut deeper as it relates to race and the Black Lives Matter movement and the diversity, equity, and inclusion movement and the anti-racist Ibram X. Kendi and these people that have painted this narrative that America owes black people today a debt for all the wrong that transpired in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, and 1900s. Their narrative is wrong. If they ever write a new Bible, the story of black Americans will be front and center in one of God's greatest miracles, what we all accomplished here in this country. People brought here on slave ships who participated in helping other Christian believers correct the wrongs of our past and create the freest, most opportunity-rich, safest, and most prosperous society for black people in the history of the planet. That is the proper narrative. We produced this culture, a Christian culture, produced a miracle right here in America, and we owe all of our ancestors, regardless of color, black, white, brown, whatever, we owe them a debt. Instead, we sit here today with all of this freedom, all of this opportunity, all of this equality, and we say we're owed something. The entitlement is embarrassing. Don't apologize for America's history. It is not perfect. You're not perfect. The people complaining about you are imperfect. Our country is a reflection of our striving to be closer to Jesus Christ. And I'm just sorry, that is a fact. That's how we've made so much progress. And so there will be people constantly arguing, we're owed a debt. You must apologize for what your ancestors did. No, we owe our ancestors incredible thankfulness, incredible gratitude. We owe them a debt. We owe them reparations. We are not owed reparations. Don't apologize. If you're in the mindset of apology, when it comes time to stand on truth, you will fail. And we are headed towards a time where we're all going to be required to stand on truth. We have to get our minds right in order to engage in this battle. And when you actually take the time to research or just think about our history, you will become more confident in defending this country. You will become more confident in saying that we need to restore a Christian culture. When I hear a Bill Maher sit on his television show week after week, he's not saying this exactly, but this is what he's saying. He'll never admit it. But if you've been watching Bill Maher for the last 2 or 3 years, he is arguing virtually every week, man, things were better before this country went totally secular. I could crack the jokes that I wanted when this country wasn't totally secular. What he's complaining about is, again, when you remove God from the culture, there is no forgiveness. There is no gratitude. That's the argument I'm making today, and why you have to stop apologizing. This ungrateful, lack of gratitude attitude that we have and that is pervasive in America is all connected to a lack of understanding that we owe Jesus Christ an incredible debt of gratitude. And when you wake up every day knowing that He is the reason you're here, He's the reason you're believing, that feeling of gratitude will become pervasive. And when you see other image bearers of Jesus Christ, your mindset will be of gratitude, not entitlement. It will be about what can I do to serve my fellow man, not what can I do to oppress or demonize or diminish my fellow man. Because when you look at the feminist movement and you look at the Black Lives Matter movement, what are they really arguing? The feminists are arguing, in order for me to elevate, you must be brought down and diminished, man. The patriarchy must come down in order for me to be elevated. What the Black Lives Matter crowd is arguing, white people, you must go down for me to go up. Where is this biblically sound? Where is any of this in the Bible? How is that Jesus' way? It is not. Stop apologizing, men. We still have power. We still have the ability to bring this culture back to what is best for our children and for the generations that follow us. There are incredible Americans that made incredible sacrifices for all of us. We must be willing to protect this freedom by making the same sort of sacrifices our ancestors did. Thank you for hearing me today.